Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, it's a great pleasure to welcome you. Tonight, this residence is not only a place of diplomacy, but also a space where ideas, culture, and innovation meet. So, we are particularly pleased to host this event in collaboration with the Voiceroom, which I would like to thank, and above all with Ferrari. Ferrari is an emblem of Italian excellence, creativity, and technological mastery. It's, of course, a pleasure to welcome with us this evening the CEO of Ferrari, Mr. Benedetto Vigna. Ferrari is in many ways far more than a company. It's a symbol of Italy's ability to combine engineering precision with artistic vision, performance with beauty, innovation with identity. It represents what we might call the Italian saper fare, that unique capacity to transform knowledge into excellence and excellence into emotion. From its roots in Modena and Maranello, in the heart of what is known as the Motor Valley, Ferrari has become a global icon. And yet, it has never lost its deep connection to its territory, to its culture, and to the values that define Italy at its best: creativity, craftsmanship, and a relentless pursuit of quality. Tonight's discussion will be Ferrari Fast Forward, invites us to reflect on how a brand so deeply rooted in history continues to lead in a world of rapid technological change. We are living in an age where industries are being reshaped by digital transformation, by sustainability challenges, and by evolving expectations around what luxury, performance, and innovation truly mean. In this context, Ferrari offers a fascinating case: how to embrace the future, whether through electrification or new technologies, while remaining faithful to a clear and distinctive identity. Benedetto Vigna's own journey embodies this intersection, and we look forward to discover more about his experience, which is a perfect example on how boundaries between disciplines are increasingly fluid, and true innovation often emerges at their intersection. Before concluding, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of the students and young professionals among us. Your perspective is essential because the future we are discussing tonight will belong, of course, to you. Moments like these are an opportunity not only to listen, but to imagine new paths forward. So I wish you an inspiring and engaging discussion. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Caitlin, and it is a great pleasure to officially welcome you all on behalf of Voiceroom. Before we begin, we would first like to welcome Ambassador Fabio Cassese to London, as well as thank him and the members of the Italian Embassy for so graciously accommodating us and for supporting what is sure to be a very special event. Tonight, as you know, we are deeply honored to have with us Mr. Benedetto Vigna, the CEO of Ferrari, as we explore the intersection between Italian excellence, automotive heritage, and of course, the world of luxury. This is Voiceroom's first speaker event for 2026, so I must say, it feels only fitting that we are kicking off the Year of the Horse with one of the most iconic horses in the world, the prancing horse. Before we dive into the interview, Benedetto, would you like to say a few words?
It's a pleasure for me to be here. I would like to thank the ambassador for the hospitality. We had a very interesting discussion before, and also all of you to be here, as well as the organizer for inviting the horse in the Year of a Horse to talk about luxury. Thank you.
Thank you. We're very happy to have you here. So to start with, you come from a very interesting background. You are a physicist by training and initially wanted to pursue an academic career before ultimately choosing to move into industry. This led you to ST Microelectronics, where you spent over 2 decades and famously helped build MEMS, microelectromechanical systems, essentially from the ground up, as well as a new business from scratch that is now worth several million. Could you take us through that journey and tell us what it was like building such an entirely new innovation in a large organization?
I have to say I was lucky because I selected to study physics because I get in touch with one Nobel Prize, 1987, Richard Paul Feynman. He was a Nobel Prize in the 60s. He was one of the person that was in Los Alamos project. When I heard him, I get in love with physics. I never thought to study physics. I get in love with him, and I studied physics. But my idea at the beginning was to go there, to stay there. But then when I saw that too much time was needed to close the loop, because I was working on experiment of Higgs boson, I graduated in 1993. The Higgs boson was found in 2012, so 12 plus 7 is a little bit too much for me. I said, I want to work for companies that make products that generate business. And I was lucky because I founded that company making chips called ST Microelectronics. I was lucky because I found a boss that helped me to grow. He was able to manage me very well. He gave me space, freedom. And then I think I was lucky also because I found some client like Nintendo in Japan, in particular the CEO, Satoru Iwata. And then after him, I met some other people, Steve Jobs, as well as the CTO of Samsung. They trusted our technology. So I could grow a business. We were a few people just fresh from university. We went from 0 to 6 billion euro. People were telling us there was no business. We sold more than 50 billion sensors all over the world. All the mobile phones you have in the pocket are full of sensors. When I started, there was not a single sensor. And then when I felt the need to do something different, more engaging, it was time for me to leave that space and to go somewhere else. And I think there is an important consideration. More and more semiconductor companies are becoming a kind of execution arm of the final client. The final client that master the application are telling you what to do. And those people, the semiconductor guys, do it. I want to do a little bit more creative, more innovative, so Ferrari for sure give us the freedom and the possibility to be creative, to be innovative, and to put together, as Ambassador said, the dimension of the beauty. The chips are not beauty, believe me. The chips are a bunch of electrons moving here and there and something else, but they are not beautiful at all. So the dimension of the beauty, the dimension of the craftsmanship, and the dimension of human people. They all fit together. So that's, if you want, in a nutshell, the journey. And really, I think that I always had the opportunity to work, and I have the opportunity to work with people that are highly motivated. And when I say people, I say the people in Ferrari at different level, as well the people around us. Call it dealer, call it sponsor, call it partner. Because for a system, a company to grow in a sustainable way, you need all the ecosystem to work and to act as a guardian of the brand, to take care of the brand.
So as you said, you decided to move into a new chapter of your career after some time at ST Microelectronics. And, in the technology world, progress is often fast-paced and iterative. But in the luxury world, change is handled a little more delicately and has a much more human dimension, with the past being a fundamental ingredient. How did you approach and navigate that cultural transition?
But you said it well. In high tech, the past is meaningless. In high tech, the past is meaningless. And that's the reason why I like to say in this way. High tech companies move at speed 100. Other industries move at lower speed. When you talk about luxury, you talk about this human dimension that get expressed to the past through the heritage. I think that for a luxury company to be fast pacing, you need to be around 30. If high tech moves at 100, you need to move at 30 in relative numbers. I think that what does it mean to balance the two extremes, the past and the future? Because on one side, you cannot live in the past. Otherwise, you become a piece of museum. And you cannot live in the future. Otherwise, you are something that is like an high tech. You have to put a needle over there in the middle. And you need to do that studying the history of the company, studying the history of the brand, and reinterpreting with new eyes. I make an example, okay? Take the Ferrari Luce, that there is electric Ferrari that we are announcing, unveiling end of May. You may have two kinds of action. Being a Ferrari, okay? You may have two approaches. Number one, no, we never did it. We always did IC car. Does not make sense. I don't think it's the right way. Because our founder in 1947 imitated a car company called the Packard to make the 12-cylinder, and he made something that is still alive today. You need to bring forward the flag of innovation. And you don't bring forward the flag of innovation if you close yourself in the past. And then you have the other approach, only innovation, forgetting the history. Well, this means that you are a company that is not giving value to what has been done in the past. So, Luce for us, Ferrari Luce, you will see it, is a kind of synthesis of what has been the history of the company interpreted with new eyes. We were just discussing before with the ambassador, we as a company need to do red car, the IC, white car, hybrid, and green car, because it is electric, so Italian flag. That's what we said, okay? I think that the challenge for a company like ours, that is also the beauty of our company, is that you have to put the two dimensions together. It's too easy for a luxury company to live in the past. But if you live in the past, you are cutting the leg. It means you care only about the current generation. You don't care about the future. Where current generation means the current generation of client, current generation of employee, current generation of sponsor, current generation partner. It's not easy. Sometimes we do mistake. We make mistake. People say in English correctly. We make mistake. But then it's important that we recover it. So we did several things in the last year. We made some mistake that we have been able to recover. But we profoundly believe in the importance to put together these two dimensions. We cannot live in the past only, we cannot live in the future only. We have to put the needle over there. And Ferrari, with the beautiful of history, with the storytelling, with the technology, can make it.
That's very interesting, thank you. It's clear that you have a very, very firm grasp on the culture and the philosophy behind Ferrari. And when you think about that in the context of leadership, of actually leading the company forward, you have often described leadership as needing a helicopter view. Not only the ability to see the big picture from the top, but also the willingness to come down and be present on the field. And to that regard, you're widely recognized for fostering a more open communication culture within Ferrari. In fact, I learned that when you first joined the company, you asked your assistant to arrange 300 one-on-one interviews across 90 days. What were you hoping to understand through those conversations? And were there any messages that shaped your priorities for the company?
High-tech is a big advantage, if you want. Number one, if you don't move fast, you die. In high-tech, if you don't move fast, you die. Look at how many high-tech companies were existing 20 years ago, that maybe 10 years ago, that are not existing anymore. Fact number one. Fact number two, to move fast, you need to think in terms of open innovation. You hear the story of Moore's law, the Moore's law. It means that the number of transistors is doubling every 18 months. This is possible because all the people in the ecosystem work together. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible. Number three, in high-tech, it's a kind of really strong cooperation among all the partners. And the companies in high-tech, if you pay attention, are more unstructured. Let me say something a little bit more If you go in high-tech company, take it east or west, the CEO is queuing up to take the elevator. If you take in high-tech company, the CEO does not have a private restroom. The CEO is not the first to sit before other people take the coffee. If you go in old-style companies that pretend to be tech, that's not the way it works. So for me, to understand the company, and that was good thanks to a good advice I got from a previous CEO. He did many big things, so I was always used to consult with people that did this job before me. He told me, Benedetto, you need to talk to the people in a structured way. So what I was doing, I was calling 300 people, N-1, N-2, and N-3, with open questions. And then I understood what was working, what was not working. And then, thanks to them, we did it. The company is where it is today, not because we had a big strategic plan or because we listened to the people. The people are the best consultant of product strategy and the best consultant, the internal people, of the way to work. They know the way. You need to pose the right question and to listen to them. So what we did, number one, we had a 9 hierarchical level. I mean, in a company of 6,000 people, 9 hierarchical level is ridiculous. So we went from 9 to 5. Number two, we put objective across the different teams. The people were great, but they were working too much in silos. I mean, working in a team is not easy. It takes a lot of energy. Why it was possible on this in Ferrari? Number one, we are not so big. We are small, 6,000 people. Number two, we are in the same place. Number three, there is a lot of passion and innovation, a will to change things that is really unique. Because if you think Ferrari is a kind of startup, when you are in a startup mode, think about a startup company. All the people are highly committed to that. Usually, the bigger and older the company becomes, a more quote-unquote complacency percolates. So this is not the case of Ferrari. So it has been relatively easy for a company such as Ferrari because one, we are not so big. Two, we are in the same place. And three, also because the people were really willing to change things. But really, one of the best things I'm really proud of is to talk to them, to ask them, and to make the things. Because when you show the people that what they say you make, I mean, they understand that they can dare, and you can change things.
Very, very true. I agree. The removal of the hierarchy is very, very important to not only opening communication channels, but really driving progress within the company itself. So now let's talk about Ferrari. And to preface this discussion, we'll first watch the brand film that you've shared with us.
What is it about this brand that captures the passion and imagination of so many around the world? It's groundbreaking innovation and the world's most advanced automotive technologies. Its drivers dressed in red atop podiums. It's a driving thrill, a symphony of speed and emotion igniting all the senses. It is the car. It's a way of life. At Ferrari, we do what others only dare dream. And we always will. Because no matter how many finish lines we cross, we are never finished. Together, we audaciously redefine the limits of possible.
As we just saw, Ferrari is not just a company, it is, as they said, a way of living, and very much a product of its culture. At its core, Ferrari carries a distinctively Italian identity. It was founded in Modena, later found its home in Maranello, the heart of the Motor Valley. What is it about this region that has allowed so many engineering-driven companies to flourish there?
I'll share with you a consideration that I did 1 year ago. I was, for some strange reason, I visited a region that had nothing underground. I was in Korea, I was in the Stuttgart Valley, and I was in Modena. Well, when you have nothing underground, the people over the ground have to be innovative. Otherwise, they have nothing to eat. Make a consideration. Look, historically speaking, it's the places, it happens often. Take also Taipei. You are from Taipei, right? Taichung, sorry. Taichung. Take also Taiwan. There is not oil, there is not gold, there is not uranium, there are not so many resources you may find elsewhere. I think, again, I'm not a historian, but usually when you have nothing underground, you need to invent something. Now, take the specific case of Modena. Go back 100 years ago. This was a place where there were rivers with water, so with energy, and over the time, there has been the development of a lot of, let me say, electromechanic, hydraulic competences. If you are in that place, you have a lot of companies that are able to manage three things very well: mechanics, electronics, and software. There are company leaders are from there. If you go in companies making, for example, batteries, or if you go in the world, if you go in other companies making high-tech things, you have a lot of companies from that space. So I think a part of history, part is the limitation of geography that you have to compensate for, a part is the ingenuity of the people that were there. I think that what Ferrari did over the course of the last century is something that other people may have done or have done in other countries. The point here, in our case, there is a man that has lived all the century, because he was born in 1898, he died 1988, so he has seen all the century, and he's able to go through the two world wars. He's able to create something distinctive, and very important, not only he developed the technology, he also started from the client. Because if you start to develop a technology and then you forget the client, you're gone. And if you think about the client, but you have no technology, you are also gone. So I think if you think also about other successful companies, you need always to put these two things together: what you know, what you do, and also how you communicate to what you do. It's not enough only to have a technology product to sell to a client, but also important how you communicate. And I think Enzo Ferrari was a great communicator, I think. And this is what always keep in mind, that we need to know how to do, how to communicate, and thinking to the client. Otherwise, we make beautiful cars that are not giving the driving emotion that people are willing to experience when they enter a Ferrari.
In many ways, Ferrari is a moving expression of Italy and is considered to be a symbol of the Italian art of living. If you could take just one cultural value from Ferrari's home in Italy that you believe the brand best represents and insert it into every global outpost, what would it be and why?
Maybe I would put will to progress. The will to progress, I like it because it's something that is a spring of the evolution of humankind. It's the will you have inside you that is pushing to redefine the limit of possible. I like this sentence because many people, you may think about Ferrari like a Formula One car, like endurance car, like the sport car. No, Ferrari, it's a way to be. It's about challenging yourself to audaciously redefine the limit of possible. That is what is Ferrari. And there is a nice sentence, a nice quote of our founder, because he did a lot of quotes. He wrote a lot of quotes. When I was in that company, I had always to look for different quotes. Now it's easy. I have a lot of quotes. I have a booklet. There is this quote that I like a lot. It says, "To whom it comes after me, I leave a simple inheritance, to keep alive the will to progress pursued in the past." For me, that's it. You may be a physicist, you may be a doctor, you may be whatever. I mean, any kind, you may be a chef in a restaurant. It's about this. That is honestly, what does it mean? Will to progress. Keep alive, and in Europe, we need, especially in Europe, we need it. Especially in Europe, we need it. In other continent or subcontinent like India, let's say the will to progress, it's stronger. I think the company, Ferrari, with this, it's a message for all of us. And that is also the message of Ferrari Luce. That is the message of Ferrari Luce. We can do. We can. Why not? We can.
Well, values are one thing, but how you communicate and operationalize them can take many different forms. Engineering and design, as we've seen, are often treated as separate narratives, with the former being more technical and precise, and the latter being more emotional and subjective. But somehow, Ferrari seems to perfectly embody both. How do you bring this unique dialogue between mechanical excellence and aesthetic beauty forward in the way you communicate the brand?
But I think before communication, it's important that the things happen. Maybe because we are small, maybe because we are in the same place. But when we define the concept of a new car, the design of a new car, we have the engineers and the designers working hand in hand. As I said, because we are not big, we are small. It's easy for us. So to be practical, we have a team of people that are composed by engineers and designers working hand in hand. So if I want, for example, a slit in this place, because it's beautiful from a design point of view, but it cannot be there because of drag coefficient, I mean, they found a solution. So it's very much iterative. The process of car development is very much iterative. And I have to say that I'm lucky because I have people that are listening each other. There are sometimes some contrast, but it's normal. So I think that it's easy to communicate that the two dimensions are hand in hand because that is what is happening. It's difficult, when it is not happening. When you have to make a storytelling and there is no ground, then it's not easy. But for us, this part, it's easy. And I'm thinking, the last meeting I had with the design and the engineers, it was very interesting because you see different point of view, but at the end of the story, we always find the right compromise. I mean, if you see also the last car, 849 Testarossa, that one, or the Puro Sangue, that is downstairs, and you will see the Luce. So I think it's all about finding the right compromise.
I think you found the perfect compromise. What you're doing is clearly working because everyone wants to be part of Ferrari's story. Ferrari's customers are a diverse global cohort, from long-time collectors to younger buyers. First of all, in your opinion, what does it mean to be a Ferrari client? In the sense of, how do you handle the responsibility of deciding who gets to be part of Ferrari's story? And what attitudes and behaviors make someone a good custodian of the brand?
First of all, I have to say that one way that I get to know a lot about Ferrari was through client. Some of them are in this room, okay? The clients in this company, in Ferrari, act really like a guardian of the brand. Sometimes there are people outside the company that are stronger guardian than the people in the company. I'm saying this because it's true, and I'm using this as an example to push the people in the company to understand more and more the meaning of what does it mean to be guardian. I think that when I was before entering Ferrari, okay, because I was traveling all over the world. I'm Italian, but I was not spending time in Italy, okay, for professional purposes. The business of Italy in that company I was working for was maybe 0.2%. So I did not care about that, let's put it this way. Before entering, I tried to understand the clients of Ferrari. It's not possible. You understand the client of Ferrari when you talk to them. And when you talk to them, you see people, a lot of people that created their own business, very often starting from zero, in different fields, and they like to drive a car because they enjoy it. The kind of people that we have in our brand, talking about men, women, are clients that self-made. I'm talking about Taiwan because you are from Taiwan, okay? But if you go to Taiwan, but if you go to Taiwan, our company is growing a lot over there. And if I go, because I know a lot of clients over there, that was also a region where I was going often for business, a lot of them are self-made men and women. But I can come to UK, I can go to Germany, I can go to Switzerland, I can go to other, in US. Today, I think maybe this is not so much known outside. Maybe people tend to think that the people taking Ferrari, I just want to show off. Well, I can tell you that the people that buy a Ferrari for a show off, so far, I never met. These are people that want to have fun, that are people that also give me, and other people advices how to improve the things. There is one important project in the company that we activated to improve something. I don't tell you which one, but we improved something because of a long mail with advices we got from a German client in July. I mean, it's not easy for a company to have such kind of attention from clients that are telling you, you know what, you should do this, you should do that, you can do this. And I have a lot of people advising us. So, who are the clients of Ferrari? People that want to enjoy life, that want to live a lifestyle, that are attached to the brand, to what the brand represents, because that purpose, to audaciously redefine the limit of possible, we define it in that way, thanks also to the interaction with client. So that is also the result of interaction with client. It's not our purpose to make cars, no. Our purpose is what we said. So these are the clients of Ferrari. And believe me, they are among the strongest guardian of our brand. They are among, all the people say, at the center of what we do, all the companies, there is a client. Yes, here the client are at the center and around because they are a kind of shield. So that's, if you want, a uniqueness of our company, because we have client. Let's say we don't have client, we have fans. Okay, we have fans because they're really attached to our brand.
Ferrari is known also for cultivating this extreme desirability through controlled production. Now, I know you've said before that you had planned for approximately 20 new models between now and 2030. So how do you maintain the same sense of exclusivity while still continuing to expand your lineup and explore new markets?
But the answer, if you want, is in the question itself. Because there are two ways. First of all, to be exclusive, it means that you don't have to do too many cars. Fact number one. Then, what you can do a few models, higher volume. Or you can do more models, lower volume. We selected to go this way. We said, instead to make, let me say, 3 models and do 10 car each, we do 10 models and we do 3 car each. The multiplication is the same. But we offer uniqueness of what we do to our client. Clearly, this is a drawback for us because we have to put more money on R&D, no doubt. But we believe that if the client are the shield of our brand, we need to do something special for them. Take the Puro Sangue. The Puro Sangue, we could have been selling much more than what we did. We could have been easily sell 50-60% of our total production of Burosan. We didn't. We didn't. We said no more than 20%. I think it's important that, one, we don't increase too much the number of cars. Two, we make more model and we limit the number of cars we do for that model is limited, because we have a different Ferrari for different client. We call Ferraristi, the client of Ferrari. Different Ferrari for different Ferraristi. Different Ferrari for different moments. You may have a 849 Testarossa that is very sporty, and Ferrari Amalfi for different moments and different moments of, let's say, of the life. So this is our strategy. I like to call it horizontal diversification strategy. More model, limited in volume.
You said different Ferrari for different moments, so I want to focus on one moment in particular. Ferrari was originally founded as a racing company, with Scuderia Ferrari being one of the world's most recognizable teams. Today, that racing identity has extended well beyond Formula One, from your recent success in the World Endurance Championship to new frontiers such as the Hypersail project. What does racing represent for Ferrari, and how has this meaning evolved or matured over time?
Racing means fundamentally one thing, that you have always to remember that if you win one day, the success the day after is not guaranteed. It means also that if you lose one day, the day after you may win. So it keeps always alive this will to progress, coming to what I was telling you before. It keeps alive that will to progress. Because, you know, in all the companies, you have usually the human resource and the management doing training course for the management to be always paranoid, like someone said, about the future. To be always, to keep always in mind that the past does not imply the future. But one point is to say, one point is to live. I think the sport has this value that lets you live, is a kind of constant reminder that this is true. It's not something that you read only on the management book, but it's also a way to keep, let me say, to put some emotional feeling and dimension in the company itself. I can tell you, when on Monday you go in Maranello, in our factory, look, if I don't, suppose that I don't see the race, I can understand from the face of the people what has been happening the day before. I think this kind of emotional touch, especially in an era that is too much maybe dominated by algorithm, I think this is important. So this is the meaning of, if you want, of racing. There is another practical meaning, that we can develop something in those cars that can be tested in a sport car on the road. Because the development cycle is very quick. You can try something that maybe you have seen on Formula One, and then you apply over there. And then there is another point. The founder started racing on the asphalt. But we believe in sustainability. We believe in sustainability. There is nothing more sustainable than sailing. So the project Hypersail is a project that is meant to bring together three things: performance, innovation, and sustainability, and to show that we can set new records sailing, not on asphalt, but on ocean, to set a new record on oceanic races. So, and I can tell you that thanks to the sailing project, we conceived something that will be on the car, on the sport car, in, what is today, it's 27, let's say in 2 months and a half, we will unveil a feature that is fitting a sport car that we wouldn't have been daring to do without the Hypersail project. And this brings to the story of open innovation that is typical of high tech. If you want to know the reality, you need to see the reality from different point of view. So I'm sure that we are scratching only the tip of the iceberg. There is much more to come. So you see, there is technology transfer, there is open innovation, there is this will to progress, and there is this sense that you always need to work and to train your mental muscle to make sure that you don't take for granted the future.
Now, of course, Ferrari is positioned not just as an automotive company, but as a luxury brand in general. You produce fashion collections, have an international network of Ferrari stores, 2 theme parks, and a restaurant in Maranello. That requires, as you said, this will to progress and constant innovation. And when we think about innovation, there are often several tensions between tradition and disruption, and between incremental refinement and radical reinvention. How do you distinguish between a passing trend and a necessary shift, and therefore ensure that innovation strengthens rather than erodes the very heritage that makes Ferrari distinctive?
This is a good question. I like it a lot. I think that there is a simple way to understand if it is a passing trend or not. You need to start from human beings. If you think whatever we do, whatever we did in our history, it's all about addressing functional or emotional needs of human beings. You can say why we develop technologies. Because we are addressing needs, functional or emotional needs of human beings. We do not address functional needs, that's clear. We address emotional needs. But I think it's something that requires a level of sophistication a little bit higher. So, if you develop something starting from human beings, if you offer them unique experience, this is a stable trend. When we develop any car, when we think about experience, we think about what the people are looking for. You know, we could have been developing the Ferrari Luce starting from the technology. And you may see a lot of cars where they look like more or less all the same. You just fit in a different engine and you go. No, we rethought completely the car. Because it's only this way that you do something innovative. And you need to offer a new experience to the client. So call it the park, call it the lifestyle, call it the museum. Just to give you an idea, last year in 25, 900,000 people came to Maranello. 900,000, yes. 900,000 people came, 2 per minute, 24 hours a day, came to Maranello to see our museum, Maranello in Modena. It's a two museum. I think that, you know what, when I was doing chips, I did not have a lot of fun because you cannot enter a chip. Instead, you can enter a Ferrari, you can have a lot of fun. You can put a you can put a tie of Ferrari. No, I think that the experiential side that you read now or everywhere in the newspaper is telling nothing more than, if you want to do something sustainable and long term, you need to start from the client. So that's it. The technology is meaningless unless it addresses in a unique way what the client is looking for.
Speaking of innovation, you're currently steering Ferrari through one of its most significant evolutions in electrification, as you said, and digital integration. And indeed, we got a first glimpse of the Ferrari Luce earlier this year, with the official reveal due to take place next month. Before we actually discuss the Luce, I want to ask a more general question. Some people maintain that an electric Ferrari challenges the very idea of what Ferrari has always been, what it has always felt like and sounded like. This said, how would you define Ferrari's approach to electrification in general, and what principles are guiding you?
Yes, I have to repeat myself, but Ferrari is not a thermal car that is making some sound. Ferrari is the embodiment of what I said before. We want to redefine the limit of possible. I'll make a simple story. Imagine for a moment, we are right after the Second World War. We are in Italy, in the middle of nowhere, because Modena is in the middle of nowhere, okay? We are in the middle of nowhere after the Second World War. There are roads without asphalt. There is one guy that is not even an engineer, because Enzo Ferrari was not an engineer, that he said, I want to imitate the Packard 12-cylinder. The Packard 12-cylinder was an American company, okay, that was making 12-cylinder. And then, while he decided to make the 12-cylinder, Packard fails. And all the people in Modena We're calling this gentleman, for Italian here, El Mat, in English is a crazy man, because they were saying there is no market. You will fail. It's very true. It's 8 years after we are having 12-cylinder just downstairs. I think that, this is a challenge, no doubt. But I think the challenge other people before us faced were stronger. I'm not saying that the challenge we are facing, the opportunity we are facing is small. I don't want to minimize it. But I think that overall, in Italy, in Europe, the challenge we had to face in the last 8 years were bigger than this. And I can tell you something for fun. It was 1947 when the car, the 12-cylinder, was spinning at high frequency, because if you have 12-cylinder, it makes a higher frequency noise, let's say, okay, than the 4 and the 6. The first driver, Franco Cortese, that was not a driver like today, he was a dealer, and he was also driving, not today. So I think that he said, this car revs quickly, so quickly, that it's not like a 4 or 6-cylinder car. It looks like it has an electric motor. It was in 1947. I think that is a challenge. People may see it this way. We see it as an opportunity. We need to show that we can do things. It's not just a car that we change, we remove the powertrain and we put a battery in the motor. No. And maybe you've seen, the interiors of the car are different. We are taking a lot of features that make the interface more human. Not so many touch screen, not so many screens that are distracting the driver. No, we like to say that phygital is the way forward for our car. For the others, each one has its own strategy, but for our car, phygital is the way forward. It means the right blend between physical touch and digital feature. So there are many things. I think that there are many things to come. I think that when I go around and I talk to different suppliers, if we listen more to them, if we work more with them, I think we can do a lot of interesting things all over. And this is true for Ferrari, for many other companies.
Well, we are approaching the end of this interview, though we do have many more questions we could have been asking. But we tend to close with a tradition that we have, a few questions in line with our mission statement, today for tomorrow. So my first question for you is, we often say that the future belongs to those who prepare for it. So what are you doing today that you believe will have the greatest impact on your personal vision for tomorrow?
Number one, we have to tame, we have to harness the new technologies, whatever they are. I don't want to mention them. We need to lead, to be a leader, we need to dare. And I like a lot this word, because dare means what you know means in English, but it means also something beautiful in Italian. It means dare, to give. You need to give yourself. You need to give the energy and the enthusiasm. So we need to make sure that whatever is the technology appearing, we see them as opportunities. We need also to make sure that we address sustainability at 360 degrees seriously, not like greenwashing. No, we take it seriously. If you see what we did the last 4 years in our company, and we will continue, we reduced a lot the CO2 emission because we optimized the use of energy, optimized the use of material. When I came in the company, people said, you cannot make a car with recycled aluminum. There are cars now on the road that have recycled aluminum. So sustainability is important. And then if you want, I want more and more a company where the people feel free and agree to disagree. The company we have to build together is a company that can improve a little bit more the pace of innovation if we have a culture that is evolving in the direction more and more of agree to disagree. Because this is, I think, the only way I know to manage the uncertainties that we have, we will continue to have. Because I think that we all agree that the uncertainties we had in the last years are a lot, but maybe sometimes they are a lot also because we have a lot of news. A lot of news about that. I think that this is important, and if you want, maybe it's important for us to go ahead, united and cohesive. Because if you are united and cohesive in the company, but also with the people around the company, call it client, call it sponsor, call it suppliers, call it also universities. We are working a lot with universities. We can change things. This is the key point. Then there are practical, call it Formula One, endurance, say, but these are lower level objective, if you want. The overarching theme is the other one.
And finally, last question. What is the single biggest opportunity that business leaders must seize today, or the biggest change they must make in order to create a better tomorrow? In the simplest answer.
There are two. One, sustainability, two, AI.
For audience questions, please keep your questions concise, respectful, and relevant to the discussion. We'll start in front over here.
Hello, a very quick question. You were saying that you had all these interviews with all the Europe ladies. What was the question you were asking them the moment you were seeing them in front of you?
During the interview?
Yeah, what was the first thing you asked them?
The first question was to know them, who they were. The second question I told them was very simple. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? No, that's it. And I was taking note. I think this was the best advice I got from a CEO. Because before stepping in the role, I asked some new CEO and old CEO to give me some advices. And they told me two things that I will never forget and that I'd like to share with you. Number one, Benedetto, make the most relevant change in the first 100 days. And to do this, you need to talk to the people. Two, you cannot imagine how strong is the impact of the way you behave in the culture of the company. Because they will see you, they will listen to you, they will, And I'm saying something maybe wrong, but I want something strange, but I would like to share. I think I was lucky, you know why? Sometimes people say it's good to have a superposition with the previous CEO. Now, when there is a transition, a succession in the companies, there are two approaches. One approach is good if the succession happens when you have together the new CEO and the previous CEO. Some other people say it's better to give a cut. And I have to say that before my personal experience, I thought the story of superposition would be the right one. But I think that if you want to change something, it's better to give a cut. And that was the case. Because the CEO at the time was an interim. But I have to say that the interim CEO was not so present. He was the chairman. But the chairman helped me a lot in the onboarding process. Not as a CEO, on onboarding process. It's different. I believe that if I had a CEO superimposed to me, I wouldn't have been able to take this hard decision in 100 days. But again, without the open and straight feedback of people, I could not have been understanding it.
Thank you. First of all, thank you. That was really brilliant and inspiring. I very much appreciate it. I wanted to ask, talking about innovation, how do you address the unavoidable resistance to change, especially from more senior people or long-standing people at Ferrari?
Look, I believe that innovation is never democratic. No, you may think, I say that innovation is never democratic because if all the people see innovation, then you should call it production. In my case, in Ferrari, it was relatively easy. Number one, because I built all my career on innovation, the story that she mentioned well at the beginning. And two, because Ferrari, innovation is an important value. But I think that if you want to do innovation, clearly having a track of record in innovation, feel the people more comfortable. I remember when I got in the company, the people were scared to do electric addition. But I remember that in the afternoon, the first day in the afternoon, I went in the laboratory to see what there was in the company, and there was a lot of things. There was a lot of competence because the company was already doing a hybrid car. So the competence was there. There was, in my opinion, an unjustified fear, maybe because there was not a lot of communication. So I believe that to do innovation, you don't need to have a lot of bias. More bias you have, more your field of view is reducing. Number two, clearly, if you have some track of record in innovation, the people trust you more. And I think that because of what I did in the previous career, let's say, the people trusted me also because they saw that I was able to understand what I was doing and I was pushing them. Now, you will have always people that are against innovation and people that are in favor of innovation. It's normal because not all the people like to manage the diversity, the new, the future in the same way. There are people that are able to drive with a short visibility, 10, 15 meters, and there are people that are able to drive only if they have 10-kilometer visibility. You need to pick up the right one and to put them also in comfort. Because if you ask someone with the need of 10-kilometer visibility, and you ask him or her to drive in a very short distance visibility, the cortisol level will go up, the anxiety will go up. But it's also the responsibility of the manager to understand who do you put over there. Otherwise, you burn out the people.
Thank you for this conversation. I would like to double down on the open innovation aspects that you touched. I work in corporate venture capital in deep tech, and I spend lots of time working with large companies and balancing their internal R&D spend with external R&D coming, especially from startups. And as we know, Ferrari is a deeply vertically integrated company, and I understand now the horizontal product line that you're looking towards. I was curious, what's Ferrari's or your take on working with deep tech startups out there without diluting what Ferrari makes with Ferrari?
We work with a lot of companies. We work with a lot of companies all over the world. Also, we start up. Sometimes, let me say, there is not too much in it. Sorry, I'm very direct. No, because sometimes there come people with, the battery of the century, the engine, the best engine. But we are working with a lot of companies, and there are some startups we are working with here in UK, as well as in other countries. So we are open. We believe in it, because, as I said, it's only through open innovation, through a wider, let me say, point of view, field of view, that you can make a change. So if there is something, propose, okay. And we'll be direct. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. How do you envisage the future of the automotive industry in Europe? Because as Ferrari, you are in a unique position of, besides being a car maker, you're mostly perceived as a luxury brand. So this gives you some sort of protected from the store going on. But what about the rest of the industry?
This is an important question. I'll tell you my point of view that is strictly personal, okay? No, because I don't talk about the luxury company. You said it well. We are in a different pool. We are not an automotive company, okay? By the way, we are making objects with 4 wheels and 1 steering wheel, okay? No, I think that the opportunity that European company have or automotive company have is that there are big waves coming. The sea is becoming rougher and rougher. And when the sea is becoming rougher and rougher, the most agile will win. It's not the strongest, someone said. It's not the smartest. It's the most agile that will win. This is what? 150 years old sentence from someone that maybe was born here in, I don't know, Darwin. Maybe it was... I believe that there are companies, let's put it this way. In automotive companies, there are three kind of companies in automotive world. There are companies that are pushing on one dimension called cost excellence. There are companies that are pushing on product innovation and companies that are pushing on client intimacy. I think that today there is a need of product innovation that is stronger than cost excellence. And the panorama today is different from what it was 30, 40 years ago. I think that if you start a company from zero, let's say greenfield, it's much better than to start from a brownfield, obviously. But I think also that it's not correct, ethically correct, to approach the future in a fatalistic way. Let's put it this way. I think you understand what I mean. I think that the human beings more or less are the same in Europe, in India, in China, in the US. The distribution of intelligence is the same. The distribution of skills is the same. The difference is made by the way you see the future. And the way you see the future more as a risk or opportunity. I think there are the things that we can do in a car in Europe are not different from the things that people can do in China or in India. There is a challenge, it's not easy, yes. But as I said, the challenge our predecessors said 50 years ago, or our contemporary people have in other continents are not so much different. It's how much we are willing to risk, how much we are willing to get to our comfort zone, how much we are willing to dare, and to bring forward the flag of innovation. In product innovation, I think there is a lot to do. There is a lot to do. But when you don't run, let's say if you want to do a marathon all the day, you have to practice every day. It's not because you did once that you will be able to do over all the time. So you need to practice. So I think we need to get out, to change the little bit the jacket, the dress, and to start to do something in a different way. To see the future with more optimism in a less fatalistic way. It's more easy to say than I understand. I believe that the cooperation across the industry is something that can give benefit. Because you avoid to waste money on things that maybe some other people did. So the cooperation, I think, is fundamental. I don't know if I replied to your question, but that's the way I see the automotive space.
And on that note, thank you, Benedetto, for
Thank you.
taking the time.